Water leaks are one of the most critical threats to a construction site. An undetected leak in the plumbing system of an unoccupied building can cause massive water damage, lengthy delays, and crippling financial liability. If a project is close to completion, the financial implications can be devastating because insurance does not cover many of the costs associated with leaks. Connecting NOAA to a permanent system takes planning. Before you begin the installation, you should ensure that your mechanical contractor has included the fabrication of the 2 required diverters in their tender and allowed room for them in their mechanical room piping plan. Ideally, you should install NOAA after you have completed the wall surfaces on the lower floors. The build has a temporary or permanent water connection and the plumbing has been pressurized. The spool diverter must be installed downstream of any inline check valve assemblies, like backflow preventers or booster pumps. Once we have shipped NOAA to the building site and the mechanical contractor has received it, installation can begin. Each system is made up of 4 components. 1. The electronic and battery backup cabinet. 2. The water valve cabinet. 3. The electrical connection cabinet. And 4. The communications box, which is installed above grade and wired to the electrical connection cabinet. Please note, we ship NOAA with the shutoff valve open. Step 1. Position NOAA in the mechanical room or close to where it will be connected to the plumbing system. The electrical and mechanical cabinets are mounted to a common frame. The frame is fitted with casters to allow movement on site. The system is shipped with the water shutoff valve open and the purge valve closed. In most cases, new buildings will use a temporary water connection for a portion of the construction phase. Your mechanical contractor will connect the water valve cabinet. Radius will provide advice as needed for a proper connection to the domestic water supply. When the water service enters a building, it tees to 2 legs, the fire protection leg and the plumbing leg. Step 1. Divert the water from the first 2-inch outlet through NOAA. Step 2. Connect the return loop to the second 2-inch outlet. The ideal location is to install the spool diverter after the meter, backflow preventer, and booster pump equipment so that there are no check valve assemblies after the NOAA connection. If you also want to protect the fire sprinkler piping from causing leaks, consider installing a bypass to the domestic water system after the NOAA connection. When the building is ready for occupancy and NOAA has done its job, you can replace the diverter and blanking plate with a flow-through pipe. The blanking plate is no longer required. Locate the system near the mechanical room where the main water services will eventually be installed. Consider the location carefully so you won't have to relocate it when plumbing work is done later in the mechanical room. There are 3 pipe outlets. These include 1. Incoming water supply, top 2 inches. 2. To plumbing system, bottom 2 inches. And 3. Purge line to drain, 1 inch. Construction is often well advanced before it will be possible to complete permanent connections. NOAA's water leak detection and control system functions well with a temporary connection. It is easy to transition to a permanent connection when required. Take measures to ensure a changeover from a temporary to permanent connection to the water supply doesn't cause needless rewiring or extensions to NOAA. Step 1. Start by connecting the water lines as indicated. Step 2. If you have included the heat tracing option in your NOAA system, extend the heat tracing to the incoming and returning water lines. If you did not require the heat tracing option, the water lines are already connected and protected within the cabinet. Step 3. Next, attach the temp probe to heat trace fail on the pipe. It should not be touching the heat trace. Step 4. Cover the pipe heat trace and temp probe 2 under minimum 3/4 inch pipe insulation. Step 5. Attach temp probe 5, ambient temperature, on top of the insulation. Step 6. Attach probes with duct tape. Please note that alarm flow or yellow trouble indicators will result in alerts being sent to the radius monitoring station. the electrician will be required to provide 120-volt AC power and connect the communications and electronic cabinets. All wiring must be to the provided small interconnect box. There are no serviceable parts in the lock cabinets. Step 1. Connect separate 15-amp 120-volt AC power from the site temporary power panel to the terminal blocks as indicated. Step 2. If this installation includes heat tracing cabling, provide a separate 120-volt 15-amp circuit. Step 3. Install a supply communications panel containing the GSM router above grade, preferably near the exterior of the building. Confirm the final location by checking for good cellular reception. Extend wiring from NOAA to the communication panel with BX wiring for 12 VDC and Cat5e for communications. Take care to route the wiring so that it will not be damaged or need to be relocated during construction. After all of the electrical and mechanical connections have been made, a radius technician will thoroughly test NOAA and confirm communication with the monitoring station. Step 1. The electrician must first check to ensure that the cellular reception is strong. Step 2. Position the router above grade, near windows and above the T-bar level. Step 3. Connect the Cat5 communication and 12-2BX 12-volt DC power back to NOAA. The communications cabinet is physically separated from the electronics cabinet, sometimes by several floors. Carefully route the electrical and communications wires to the electronics cabinet in the mechanical room. Terminate the wiring to the labeled terminal blocks in the electrical communication box for 120 volts AC, 12 volts direct current, and Cat5e wiring. In colder climates, the freezing and thawing of pipes is a critical concern. During construction, when the building's heat isn't functioning and there are below freezing temperatures, the water system is vulnerable to potential water rupture. Our solution to this problem involves the installation and monitoring of 3 temperature sensors and applying heat tape to the interior of the water valve cabinet and on the water line feeding the water cabinet. The temperature sensor monitors the ambient temperature of the water valve cabinet and the incoming water line. NOAA will generate a remote alarm if the system detects that the heat tape is not responding to freezing temperature. UL inspectors will inspect the radius monitoring station, our inspection and commissioning forms, and a sample of NOAA sites on a semi-annual basis. Inspections performed are according to the NOAA Certificate Service and the UL 872 standard. If required as a condition of insurance, UL inspection certificates can be provided by Radius to your insurance provider. Maintaining the integrity of the NOAA system is a central priority for Radius security. Our technicians are trained to interpret these results. We will conduct a thorough on-site equipment investigation if we cannot resolve a discrepancy remotely. Once installed, a NOAA champion is responsible for ensuring NOAA is operating properly at the end of each day. If the NOAA champion checks the front panel and sees anything other than the green light, they will call the central monitoring station and will not leave the site until the source of the leak or trouble is determined. With the NOAA water leak and control system installed, you'll have peace of mind knowing your empty construction site is protected from water leaks. NOAA, water leak detection and control. NOAA lets you know.